Hello there, my name is Ismail. Welcome to Top Channel 101. So in this video, let us look at how to create this chandelier. And you see it has these spiral crystals. So I tried to experiment with different ways to create this spiral effect. I tried doing a curve. So let's create a cube. So this would be something like your crystal. And I just want to show you some of the ways I experimented and what worked and what didn't. So if you tried, first apply the scale and rotation so that we have the right bevel. Because if you don't apply the scale, you can see how this bevel effect is working here. It is being stretched in one direction, so you need to apply the scale so that that bevel effect is applied correctly. So let's assume that this is our crystal. Because the crystal is the easiest part here, so the hardest part was creating that spiral crystal effect. So let's assume this is our crystal. So if you tried to do a curve, an array of these objects that follows a curve deformation, let's try that and see. So the way I make a spiral curve like this, I would just create a plane. Let's go to top view, go to edge mode, and select all the vertices but one, and then delete them so that it only moves one vertex, and then go to the modifiers, add a screw modifier, that here, and let's increase the screw, maybe a negative or something like that, and we can bring this in our background to work as our reference. So let's see, where is this? Let's see. So let's kill this. Screw this a few times. Increase the angle of this. Let's add more steps. About that side. And let's go. So this is a mesh. Let's reduce the number of steps. Something like that. Now go to edit mode. Let's apply the screw. Go to edit mode and move the last edge to the center, somewhere in the center like that. Turn on proportional editing, connected, then scale that in. So let's just use enable, scale that in so that something like that. Maybe so we have something like this, and we can convert this into a curve and change the type, the candle type to the spline type Bezier, and you can see right now it's in linear, it's in vector candle type. So you just select all and then V and to change it to automatic or align to have it so that it's rounded. Before we had it as vector, which makes point edges like that. So we need to change it to align or automatic so that we have a curve like that. And just to make sure that you can see all the points, you can go to the curve display and turn off handles and turn off the normals so that you only see that. So we want to use this as our curve modifier for our chandelier, so that we have an array of this. Yeah, so we have an array. So let's increase the count a bit, maybe give it some space, and add a curves modifier. So just pick this curve. You can see this is the problem I was getting. I couldn't find a way to reorient the normals of the curve so that these duplicates, or these crystal duplicates are always vertically, always straight Yeah, always standing up straight like you see in the reference image here. So what I found worked for me was let me first disable this, was selecting the spiral curve and then converting it into a mesh. But right now the resolution is too much, so we will have a lot of duplicates. So let's reduce this to something like 2, and then convert it into a mesh. So now we have these vertices. And now what I did was use the duplicate properties. So if you select the curves, the curved mesh, you can go to the properties, and then from duplicates you can select vertices, so that any object that is parented to this object will be duplicated at every vertex of this curve. So let's first disable the background image so that we see what we're doing. So if we parent this to this, Ctrl P, you can see we have a duplicates of this object for every vertex of our object, and we can move this to the center, something like this, and we would have that. Let's see if these duplicates can be used for curves. So let's convert this to a curve and see. Can it work? Let's see. So this object, make a duplicate of this, and clear parent. I just want to see if it can work for a curved object, because if it can work for a curved object, we can easily increase the resolution here to have more vertices there. So let's Ctrl P, Ctrl P. Let's see. So it doesn't work for curves; it only works for meshes. So yeah. So this is how. So if you want to increase the number of duplicates you see here, you can just go to the object itself and go to edit mode for that curved object and subdivide. Every vertex you add will be another duplicate of the object. Now we can scale it down so we have that. But you see, this is a bit stretched, and for this you don't see that many gaps as you see here. So let's turn this back on. What you can do is scale this in the z-axis, but you see now it's scaling the object itself as well. So what you can do, you can go to edit mode and scale it directly there, and see when you scale it directly in edit mode, it doesn't affect the child object scale. It only affects the scale of the object itself. So I think it should be around, and let's select this last edge, turn on proportional editing by hitting 0 or on your keyboard, and then let's move this in the z-axis, something like this. Like that, and you can see this last circle, it doesn't spiral. It's just duplicates of the crystals just surrounding the object. So we can just go to edit mode of this and make sure we are in the center of that object and add a circle. Let's increase the radius and then the number of vertices. Maybe reduce the radius a bit to the front mode. So turn off proportional editing. Let's bring this to something like that, and that we would have that. So you can see we have quite a number of vertices for this, a number of duplicates here. So what we can do is come in and start deleting dissolving some of these vertices so that you don't have a lot of duplicates here. So we have, or what you can do, let's see, if you select checkered deselect, something like that. So I think there is enough at the top here, but it's just too cluttered at around this area here. So what I can do is select all the vertices up here to there, and then dissolve anything below that. So I dissolve vertices, so that will reduce the number of vertices on the number of duplicates down here. So again, let's do a checkered deselect, select, checkered deselect, and deselect everything up here, and then dissolve again, so that will reduce the number of vertices here. For here we can remove, dissolve that. I think that's enough. So we have our crystals ready, and if we turn off this background, so this is what we have right now. And if you want to move this to reduce the spacing here, you just turn on proportional editing, and then we can do that. Let's scale this. And so you can add all the details you want to the crystal, and it will be updated for any duplicates you have here. So if you want to add those hooks there, you can just come here, go to edit mode, and let's turn off proportional editing. Let's try to edit and make a more realistic crystal here. So if you want to add that hook there, we can turn on, you can go to edit mode, and let's see, what can we do? We can add maybe a torus. So where is this? Here, reduce the number of segments. Let's do 6, and reduce the minor segments as well to something like that. I think can work. And we can also just dissolve this edge loop and this, so that we have something like that. So you can see it has been updated for every crystal we have. And we can just make a chain link here, so that we have something that looks like so you see that these crystals here on the second row are too close to the first one. So what we can do is go back to edit mode and scale this outside, something like that, so that it's not too close to this first ring. So let's go back to this. So any edits you make to this one, they will be updated in the second in the duplicate crystals. So but since we don't want this to be rendered, we can move this to another layer. It seems everything goes. Let's see. Okay, seems. Let's see if it gets rendered. Let's add a camera. Now we can add that ring there, where everything hooks up. So we can add a circle. Let's reduce the number of vertices. So let's say 12, and scale it and fit our ring. Let's add subdivision divided, and make sure it is centered. We can go to edit mode, extrude, extrude in as well, in again. So you're trying to make these plastic, these metallic ring here that the crystals are attaching to. So let's turn on smooth shading, and let's make these sharp edges. Let's bridge this as well. So all of these rings, each of these rings is supposed to be attached to something like this, to this aluminum rod or whatever you want to call it. So we can come into edit mode and duplicate this, scale it down, and push it just around there. I guess it depends on what the design you want to go for, but you don't have to do this a step for yours. I think you can add some detail in that. So, yeah, something like that. And if you want, we can also add some hooks on this, where the chandelier will be used, will attach to the ceiling. So let's add again. Let's add a cylinder. Let's do 5 vertices. No cap. Nothing. Click with nothing. Scale it down a bit. So you can skew this in one axis. So what I mean is that you can hold down Control Shift Alt S, and then the direction you want to skew this, to shear or skew this. So if you do Y-axis, you can do this. I think it's called a skew. So you scale it in one angle to make a diagonal angle, and then you can extrude it in this direction, so that we can easily make a bend curve. And then we can also skew this in the opposite direction, or just do Control M to mirror it in the opposite direction, and then in the Z axis, so that we have a hook like that. Add smooth shading. So let's move the cursor to the origin. So Shift S, and then cursor to selected. Then select this mesh by selecting any of the vertex attached to that mesh, and then L to select linked. Then Alt R to make duplicates of that. So right now, what the duplicates we are making are attached. So we need to make duplicates, not just extruding from that point. So we want something like 6 duplicates at an angle of 360. That will be around the entire mesh at maybe let's do 270, so that we don't have a duplicate here. So maybe let's try up around there, and I think that should be it. Maybe that's too much, so let's try 4 steps and, at that angle like that. So we have something like this. And now we can create some kind of rope to go through, to be attached somewhere here. So for that, because we can't see what is going on here, we can just let's see, what can we do. You can create, just duplicate any of the vertices you see from here. You only have to create one, duplicate one, and extrude it so that it's kind of hooking through one hook, like that, maybe like that. Then connecting at the center, extrude to the center. Now we can rotate this at that from the pivot point to around there. So make sure this is at the center, so we have something like that. You can see that hook there. Now we can select that and then hit P to separate it from the other object. Let's disable this subsurf and convert it into a curved surface, and let's change the spline type to Bezier, and we can change these control points from these handle points from vector to automatic, so that this is curved, and maybe we can just leave this to vector and this to vector as well, so that it maintains that straight line. So this will remain as a hook. So you see it is also supposed to be to the center like that. Now we can now create a new curved object, a circle, and use it as our bevel profile, bevel object. So we have that, and we can reduce the size, something like that. And if you want, you can add another curve, another handle point between these 2 points, and then make sure that the handle type is set to automatic, and push it down to show that there is some kind of tension there, if you don't want it to be straight. And we can also reduce the size of this, something like that. And so let's reduce the resolution of the curve, because we're going to convert it to a mesh and we don't want it to have too much resolution. So let's have it to about 2, and this should also have a resolution of 2 as well, and we can convert it to a mesh now. Turn on small shading. We can also join it back to the original object, and we can now make duplicates to make sure this point is centered, and we can duplicate this as many times as we want to hook it, to make hooks for our chandelier. So we have something like that. So right now you see we want to add the support here, the main support, but this is getting in the way, and the duplicates are always attached to this because it's the parent object. So what we can do is make all the duplicates real so that they are treated as objects, and they can be moved separate from the main object here. So what you can do is select the duplicates and go to object and go to apply, make duplicates real, and you can see now all the duplicates are turned into real objects that you can move on their own. And so now we can move this to a different layer that won't be rendered, and we can start working on this area here. So for this we can just create something simple. Let's go to edit mode for this and select maybe one look like this, and duplicate it by holding Shift D and scale it here and down a bit here. We want to make a cover for this area, and we can extrude this. So you see, I don't really have a reference for the above part, so you have to use your imagination if you can't see that also. Let's maybe add a look here as well. Because most of the time the camera is going to be looking from under here, you won't be seeing this area here, so we don't really have to add that much detail here, so we can just do something simple like this. If you want, you can still use, you can create a chain here, but I think that this can also work. Something like this maybe. So we have our chandelier there, and yeah, for the materials, let's try adding some quick materials here. So what we can do, I think the mistake we did is that we applied these we turned these duplicates into real objects before we applied the materials, so we would have to go on and create materials for every other object you see here, but to avoid that, because it will take a lot of time, we can select all the objects, all the crystals. So let's swap side hide this, so that when we remain with the crystals, we can delete them. But remember, we had this original duplicate here, so we can unhide everything. Give this object a material, so it would be, so it has two materials, so it has this chain part and the crystal itself, so we can add new materials. So let's create this the crystal. Let's select the chains, add make sure you assign that selection. Now you can go back again, let's say it's every duplicate you see here has its own material, and now let's turn them into real objects. So you just go to object, then apply make duplicates real, and I have that. So we can again move this back to a different layer. This is what we have, and we can use the same material for our support here. So it was metal. Now let's go to cycle windows. So we can do this, separate this, turn this into the mode editor. Let's first play with some settings here. Change this to BPU. Change the color settings. Chronic, high contrast, and let's change this to rendered mode. Add an environment background. Let's add a principal shader, shader. So this give it the metal, full metal, and reduce the roughness a bit. Let's try and find it here. Let's work on the crystal now. Crystals. Let's see, that's what we get right now. But let's change the refractive index. Is 249. Just copy that and paste it there. So we need to set up some lighting.